What's up? Welcome back, everyone. It's been a hot minute. Make sure my microphone is coming through. Test, test. I think I'm good. Hopefully, we'll get some people jumping in here soon. I'm going to share this. Out on the Twitter space. Welcome. Welcome, welcome. Make sure my microphone is on here. If there are any problems with the microphone, give me a shout out. Otherwise, I think I'm good. Make sure to like and subscribe this video. I think my microphone is coming through. I'm seeing dots going. So reorganize things a little bit. Got the famous whiteboard in the background. So that's fun. So yeah, just getting ready for a new year. So if you're in the chat, make sure you say hi, and hopefully this will be a good show for you today. So what have I been up to? Well, there just isn't much appetite for content in the bear market, except for the builders. So I've been using my time to research and build. So I'll drop some links to two reports that I did some research on. There's one from Masari, and then I can't remember the author on the other one, but it's more in the helium space specifically, and just great reports. And there's also a naming kind of almost battle about DY, DPIN, TIPIN, EdgeFi. So keep watch on that space as well. But I'll drop those reports. Planet Watch finally opened up orders for a Type 2, which I was waiting on for quite a while. I have a discount code, but even with that, the price will, I think, be around $1,800 or something like that. Right now, it just all purchases are on hold. I did get in one order with WeatherXM, but that seems to be delayed as well. And there's just so many cool projects ahead. However, little no funding to acquire. Demo did send out a review unit, and I'm very interested to see where that goes. Even though I don't have an EV, I would love an Aptera. I should drop that link as well. If you haven't seen Aptera, that's a really cool concept. So I'd love to get one of those when they come out, but I still like the tech, and I've been seeing improvements in the demo UI as the time has passed. There are so many cool technical projects out there: GeoNet, WeatherXM, PlanetWatch, React, just the 5G Wi-Fi space, drone deck. The list goes on. So there's more than enough things in this space to keep content going. Of course, it's keeping it curtailed to be beneficial, right? So I've got some ideas there. And so if you're interested in a particular project, please let me know and drop that in the comments, and I'll be aware of them and pivot some, or at least reach out and get some commentary on those. So let's see here. If you're if you're kicking out yourself at tax obligations from last year, and you're working to pay your taxes, you are not alone. So last year, I was like, I admittedly don't know what I'm doing. So I reached out to a CPA, and I'm like, I need somebody to confirm all this for me, because if I did it myself, I'm sure I would make some mistakes. So if you remember, I did a program called the People's Hotspot that was pretty much a marketing advertising campaign for Helium. Rather than jump through all the legal ramifications of that, I just ended up paying all the taxes on those myself. I also found out that I'm in working with the CPA that I made an extremely poor decision regarding investments. Right after the top of the market, I thought it was going to go back up, so I wanted to diversify. I thought I could play the cards right and basically sell high and then buy the dip and then be positioned to potentially like even move some crypto back. So um, that did not happen. So uh, so I changed basically half my crypto for another token, and I did not know that that was a taxable event. So working with my CPA, I was able to minimize that tax burden. However, that was a huge hit that was just totally unexpected. So I confidently estimate that over the last decade, between having children, medical events, unexpected job changes, and tax burdens, just whew, it's just been a very difficult time, and we've always been scraping by with a just a bonus barely covering the tax burden for the last year. So this year, I'm aiming to work my way out of it, such that I never have to be here again. So that's kind of exciting. So stay tuned till the end of the show about how I am planning to pivot about that. So let's get on to some helium stuff. Number one, we got the Solana move. We'll be seeing this Q1. It will be, I think, the largest mint of NFTs perhaps ever, if I'm reading the headlines right. I could be wrong in saying that, but definitely it's going to be impressive. Lots of transactions per second. I've seen some of the videos that the developers have posted on that, and they're just flying by. Uh, Something to note in that is that the biggest changes will be coming around the ability to dictate when you want to claim rewards so that you can make those tax calculations easier. And then as far as like migrations, so a wallet, you're still going to keep all your tokens, but the migrations will be, it's a kind of a computer tech term called lazy. And what that means is that when you actually open the Black Helium wallet, then like your account, your wallet will migrate. Now you're not moving tokens around, it's from one tech to the other, so it will always be yours. You maintain all of that. There's some cool stuff about how it lined up in that the tech shared on the underside migrated very well to Solana. So let's see here. So you'll keep all your tokens, and that tech is behind all of this. That's running this is really impressive. I believe that they were using this thing called a Merkle tree. They were able to reduce, like, take the entirety of the Helium blockchain as we know it and reduce it to 32 bytes, which is just absolutely incredible. Very, very impressive from a technical perspective. I did want to note wallet security. It's a great time to talk about that. And my best advice is to just have the most secure way of creating your wallet. So, what does that mean? You definitely need to factory reset a phone if you're going to create a new wallet. Factory reset it, and then as much as you can, don't connect Wi-Fi. Use a VPN or a secure uh, like cellular phone connection, that kind of thing. That will help you get a more secure wallet. Even if you need to pick up a low priced phone that all you do is create wallets on it or interact it when you need to move crypto around, that's better because then you don't have the one on that like you have there's the crypto only one and then there's your personal day-to-day one, and that really helps keep things more secure. A lesson that I hope that we've always um, kept in the forefront of our mind is about remember it's if they're not your keys, it's not your crypto. So cold wallets, things like Ledger and so forth. If you got some other ideas beyond Ledger, drop them in the comments below. It would be great to get some more cold wallet options out there. I would love to see a Helium, a ledger that runs natively on Helium, that you do all your transaction signing via Helium. That would be amazing. So cold wallets are better than hot wallets. Hot wallets are your phones, and the phones are or your hot wallets are better than exchanges. So think of the worst thing happening with FTX, and that they leveraged funds, and it was your funds, it was customer funds, right? And to make investments and then poor investments and then ultimately huge rug. So yeah, that sucked. So cold wallets are better than hot wallets, which are better than exchanges. So only try and move around crypto when you have to. Otherwise, keep it stored. All right. That's just a little thing on wallets while we're considering the Solana move. You don't have to get a new wallet, but multiple wallets are very nice. Check out a new wallet. Download, I think, what are some Phantom or Solana wallets? Phantom is one of them. I think there's another one called Soul something or other. I can't remember it. But yeah, drop those in the comments below. Just approach it with caution. Anytime you're doing something new, you don't want to put all your assets into one basket. Figure out how to do it and look for research in the space. All right, on with 5G or Helium stuff related to 5G. Um, you can't see it, but it's off screen just over there. I have my indoor small cell that's been rolling on Helium since the beginning of Genesis. Um, I did see a question on the topic of taxes. Do you have any idea how mobile tokens during the Genesis round will be taxed? I believe that they're doing a very well. We know that I think it's around 400th of a cent, if I'm not mistaken. There is actual price now for mobile, so you should be able to calculate that. Um, that'll be interesting to see what that tax burden is. There is a thing called tax loss harvesting that you should probably look up. Again, I am not a CPA. I am just using this information. And literally a couple weeks ago, I reached out to my CPA and I'm like, hey, can you tell me about tax loss harvesting? Because that seems like that's a thing to do here. Um, and so I was like, teach me about it, tell me if I'm wrong, that kind of thing. So research that, and maybe that will help you understand that when you get an asset at a current price and then you have to sell it, or well, you have to, if you have to sell it in order to pay the tax burden on it, then there's some tax loss harvesting that you can do, I believe. Again, I'm not an expert. If you've got some extra comments on that, put them below, and then we'll all benefit from that advice. All right. So on the 5G mobile side, thanks to Hexagon Wireless, I was able to do some testing of pollen equipment on my tower. Now, a little bit about Hexagon Wireless is that they're basically in that DY space, I think specifically for 5G cellular connectivity, and they really want to target um, anything in this space that they can use to grow. They don't want to be bound to helium or pollen or XNet. They want to try them all to really figure out what is the most not only economical, but what makes sense in each type of use case. So they had some pollen equipment. So they sent me a couple bumblebees and then some, I think those were 430 eyes, I believe. Um, at any rate, I put them up on the tower and try to do some mapping with them. And unfortunately, my tower just doesn't quite eclipse the trees. It's like the tree level is kind of like here, like the very tops of the trees are like right here. And then they were kind of, my towers were pointed at about this level. So there was a lot of obstruction in there. And I thought it would perform better than it did, but the performance was dismal. So um, it wasn't any reflection on pollens, like as far as the like pollen, like it's not about pollen at all. It was more about the tech behind it and what the radio was able to punch through. Line of sight is very, very important. And so my tower just doesn't get up high enough to get that connectivity and map more. I was very surprised. And even the folks at Hexagon Wireless thought I'd get a lot more performance out of that than I did. So that was really too bad. So I could only provide about 2 hexes of coverage regularly, even though I was like running all the streets around my tower. I couldn't get the performance. They did say that it a recommendation would be to get some gear like the 436H. I think that's the Uber one where you have like there's the radio, but then you run connections up to your antennas, and then or the whatever the sector antennas or whatever they are, and those are going to perform a lot better in that sense. So that was the recommendation. Of course, um, they say recommendations, but then that is like a, I don't know, like a $7,000 investment to experiment. Now, uh, I think it's still worth it. One of my lines has been, for people like me that want to put it up on a tower, what kind of uh, experience are you going to have off of that tower? And so I think it's worth it because obviously if I would have bought that equipment that Hexagon sent me, I would have been basically out of my money. I don't even think they recouped their investment and maybe even sending it to me. So and that's I found that frustrating for not only them but also for myself, because if I would have bought that equipment, then I would have been out quite a while, or quite a bit of money. So my recommendation in there is to do your research and really figure out what is going to be best for you. If you're in a dead zone, great. Or if you have a really great line of sight with the tower, or the radio where you're intending to have coverage, great. But if you're just like, maybe it could work. I have some money. I'm going to spend whatever thousands of dollars and pay it. I mean, that's on you. But realize you might not get your ROI back. I would imagine you would get it back at some point, but it would be a long ways, and you'd probably be a little more frustrated with yourself. So again, it's not on the any particular blockchain, Helium or Pollen. I haven't tried XNet, but it's more on the tech and how it acts, how the radios are able to punch through cover, trees and that kind of stuff. So yeah, do your research and just be careful. Don't rug yourself. Don't out leverage, right? Don't borrow to do an experiment that could not work out for you. So I really appreciate Hexagon's Wireless, their willingness to send me out the gear, and I was trying to be fully transparent about that. The location of like, hey, this could be a bad location, and so I was like, if you want to take the equipment back, absolutely, just tell me, and I'll send it back. So again, they were wonderful to work with, so I really appreciate them uh, partnering with me in that. So let's see here. So Helium just launched their Mobile Explorer, which is really neat. If you haven't seen that, go check it out. One can only assume that POC mapping isn't far away. Uh, and then another thing that I learned recently is that really the unlimited mobile usage just wouldn't be economical without Wi-Fi offloading. So that's another thing that's out there. Is like there was a mysterious tweet that had a router on there. It was all black and it said Wi-Fi on it. So and there's been a lot of concern in the space about, whoa, why, are they just abandoning 5G wireless type of stuff and just doing Wi-Fi offloading? And that's a valid concern. However, I from what I've been able to gather, it's a both, and there's actually a need for potentially in search situations like mine where, oh man, it would have been great to have this cellular equipment on my tower. It's just not practical and it's not economical to put that up there. There's a huge supply chain crunch around that as well. They're literally taking radios and flashing the firmware from, Pollen to XNet or vice versa. Or if Helium launches a little bit more, then all of a sudden it could switch to them. So I see a lot of innovation in the space and a lot of pivoting really quickly. So it's an exciting time. So the equipment is so desired, but the applications are very different. So keep watch over that. So, oh yeah, and I've got some stuff coming that I can't talk about quite yet. So you'll definitely want to stay tuned for that. Always a reminder to like and subscribe. All right, next is Helium governance. In Abai's move to CEO, he covered a desire for moving governance forward. So I have employed that side of my skill set recently. And over the past few months, I've been involved with members of the community, primarily Valerie Spina, who works for the foundation, to assist in moving those hips forward, either getting them ready for vote or by working to close them quickly, and do so respectfully as well. This group has been awesome, getting hips moving forward, driving conversations around them, and helping authors improve the hip. And sometimes it's walking a thin line of inflicting help, just to promote dialogue and discussion. Then it just sometimes you have to like take the other side, and it's really like you're not trying to denigrate the hip or the author themselves. It's just to improve things from multiple sides, represent multiple viewpoints. So it can seem like we're like either flip flopping or one sided, because it's tough when we have our own opinions on that. And then we also try and help provide and hold a space where people can make their own decisions about it too. So, try and just do disclosure as much as we can, like, hey, I'm not really feeling this hip and this is the reasons why, but in the interest of the author, or moving forward in this space, these are the options that we see available to us. And these seem to be some resonant parts of the hip that people are just kind of excited about. So, pros and cons all the time and weighing those out. And I feel like I'm pretty decent at that, although people can make a judgment off of one statement particular, and think that that's my opinion on things or whatever. And really, it's when you get into that position, you want to be a facilitator, you got to be that neutral position. So uh, uh, I always want to disclose where I'm at personally on it, so that we just know what my bias is, and then work around it from there. So that's a thing. I'll drop a link about that inflicting help to a really good blog article. All right. So last section, I talked about pivots, or kind of looking to the future and what I'm going to do. And um, aligning myself with where my expertise really shines is really to try and take on this DAO space. Um, so anchoring on the Agile Manifesto, which if you've never checked out, I definitely recommend you go to agilemanifesto.com and read through it there. I've really tried to model the individuals and interactions over processes and tools. Uh, in a decentralized global space, the demand to work asynchronously is an impetus to evolve how we work. And we found immense value in open sourcing Git repos as a space to focus on code and changing code. Our next evolution lies in how we will work with each other. And I believe that there will find eventually, or maybe sooner than we thought, incredible value in AI assisting us to collaborate, iterate, and just entirely reorganize how we work with each other. To do that, we may need to accept some standardized tools, and you might have to accept that they're centralized tools in the meantime, that will provide these on ramps for the AI to assist. And in the past, I've worked with tools called Azure DevOps, back then it used to be TFS. I can't even remember the name before that. It's basically Microsoft solutions in this space. And now I'm working with GitLab, and I really love their culture. I've even been interacting with them on the design for their boards, kind of that planning side of things, and how you say, oh, this is a thing, we need to get it done because it provides value to someone. Well, then having a conversation, does it? How should we do it? The back and forth on that. GitLab is their whole culture is asynchronous, and so they really try to avoid meetings with embodying that this could have been an email thing, right? Well, theirs is this could have been an issue, so they try and document everything on there, and have their iterating and conversation all in there. And I love it because it's all open and collaborative. And then you can tag things or label things appropriately, and assign it to different individuals. So I really like that. Azure DevOps had its strengths as well. So I'm just going to be working on a series of videos and streams about agility in organizations. And to what I'm using today, using GitLab to promote work differently in DAOs. So I've spent a lot of time honing this knowledge and coaching organizations to structure these tools so that they can be transparent across the entire organization and then iterate faster to deliver value and eliminate waste, which sounds like a bunch of buzzwords and cliches. Well, those are the things that sell. I my current organization loves the phrase that I got from somewhere else called turning on a dime for a dime. So that's where I want to help or DAOs really embody that and work globally and build that culture and then still have this tool to interact with to get things done. So um, my ask is that if you know people in DAOs, whether they're leading them, starting them, or trying to participate in them, or just trying to work a process like we have our hips in Helium, but just any sort of improvement proposal, send them my way to my channel, and it's going to help them grow. And also, it's going to help me find out if there's any BS in my logic as well. I spent a lot of time doing this, but I still reserve the right that I could be wrong in it. And so, but I've got some things that really will provide what I believe is leverage for, um, in a good way, for DAOs to get done what they're trying to get done. Because it seems like this, and I think what I might do is my first stream or video on this is going to be on the time to commoditization or the time to automation as the is that you only have so much time before your idea now will become commoditized or become automated, right? So, how do we battle that? How do we pivot in spaces like that? How do we align such that we can get things done, get the code written, and ship out the features as soon as we can, or make decisions as soon as we can, so that they're not being commoditized, right? And somebody could just pick up that idea and run with it in another space. So some of that is good, and other times it's if it's your business, you're kind of screwing yourself over. So there's a lot of thoughts in this space that I just really have liked, and a lot of books, obviously, that I've read about this. So I really want to help organizations implement this and work in this decentralized way. And I don't even work entirely decentralized. When I say, GitLab, they are working asynchronously. Like, that's their huge value. I've never worked for GitLab, but of course I've been around them enough that I'm like, wow, I'm really impressed at how they do this. It really challenges me to think about, instead of calling that meeting or sending that email or chatting that person up, how could this be an issue? And how could I make my requests written form first? And so I love this because it really hammers on the fact that if you really want to be a good leader or a great colleague and collaborate really well, you got to learn to write. So I'm still learning how to do this and challenging myself. And this asynchronous place is a great way to do it. Plus, then you're respective of people in any time zone, that they can get caught up on something. Well, they can sleep when they want to sleep, and they can work when they want to work, and we can all be a team uh, and working together. So that's kind of what I've got planned. Of course, there's a lot of videos and stuff that I could do on this whole DY, tip-in, deep-in, edge-fi space. I would love to just pick a name. I know that some people are anchoring on DPIN, which stands for Decentralized Physical Infrastructure Networks, I think, if I'm right. Uh, and I like EdgeFi. It's not my term. It's another collaborator in the space that they're suggesting, and I linked to the definition of edge computing, which, if on Wikipedia, if you want to check that out, in my mind, as I read that, I'm like, that's the space that we're working in. If we, and I've heard also that people aren't crazy about that crypto is a part of this. So that if crypto is out of it, then it shouldn't matter. We shouldn't matter how the back end is working to a solution, right? It's just magic, right? So I like the idea that we're just using an existing term already that's understood, and that we're not trying to cram in all this other stuff, and then acronyms as well. I'm not crazy about the acronyms. That I mean, they have their place and we love to make them, but it does lose its value when you have to figure out what that means. And well, if you talk about edge computing, that might be a little bit easier entry to understanding that. So I'll be playing in that space. There's a lot of projects that I'm going to be doing. I think, or experiments that I'll be doing in that space. And then there's still my own little sensor project that I admittedly have not gotten on. So I will also try and be programming my way. And I'm going to do that. It'll probably be as bad as nails on a chalkboard or me in front of a whiteboard. It may be that bad, but I think that there's a lot of people in that space that are willing to code but don't know how to code. And so there was a hip this week that I was even trying to go and find the location in the code that would be altered for that because they didn't know it in the hip. So I'm definitely wanting to uh, mess up and try and fail and keep learning in order to keep trying to solve, do these solutions. So hope you've enjoyed this small little live stream. We haven't had much participation today, but that's okay because admittedly I did not put this out in the future, and but I'm hoping that I'll increase our cadence on these. Again, hopefully I've said something that has helped you where you're at, and I would ask again, link to the people in those DAOs. Uh, and just tell me what you're up to in this space, what you're doing in the crypto winter and how you're building, what you're excited about, and what you're just like, I've had enough of such and such. And love the feedback. And well, till next time, carpe diem, everyone. Take care.